Time for Charlie's Unhinged section.
I would like to talk about a show called Vampire Dormitary. Mito Yamamoto is a beautiful man, so much so that women swarm the restaurant he works at daily. When the restaurant owner decides that he has had enough, he fires Mito, leaving him unemployed and with no place to call home. Soon after, Mito happens upon a cafe and receives a cut on the hand from a broken glass. A strange man named Ruko Satomi takes Mito aside to presumably tend to the injury, but instead he licks away Mito's blood, remarking that it tastes disgusting before asking Mito to leave. Later that night...
You licked it?
Yeah, get out of here.
I didn't ask for this. Get out of here. You're both disgusting.
Okay. Later that night, Mito accidentally slips off the roof of a building.
What the fuck is this?
What a weird fucking day.
What the hell is this?
You get fired.
Yeah. Some man licks your wounds
And then it salts your blood.
and you fall off a roof.
And you fall off a roof. What was he doing on the
He's
roof?
having the worst day
It's a
ever.
bad day.
Fuck.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we try and throw open the gates to anime, whether you're a new fan, a returning fan, or one who's lost their way and finally come back. Ever wanted to get into anime but didn't know where to start? We're the podcast for you, but if you are a more hardcore fan, we'll also try and fit your criteria as well. We're busy here at Gateway to Anime. Anyway, if you like what we're doing, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, which hopefully you are watching us on. Otherwise, if you are just a podcast listener, you can give us a 5-star review on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. Really does make a massive difference. And if you really like what we're doing, you can find us on Patreon, where we have a backlog of extra free content, more episodes. So if you like what we're doing, head over to Patreon for a way bigger amount of content. Anyway, it is that time of the year. Charlie and Graham, how are you both? How are you feeling?
Good. Bit sad to see some of these current seasons go. There's been a couple of absolute hits this season for me. It's been a really strong season, so surprisingly strong season considering. So I'm sad to see some go, but I'm excited to look forward to what's happening in spring.
Absolutely. Graham, how are you feeling?
Indifferent.
Indifferent?
Yeah.
Marvelous.
Yeah. I dropped off real quick this year.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
we
real
will
quick.
talk. We will talk about that. I am, of course, your host, Sam, and we are doing our winter wrap-up and spring hype-up because it is time for the seasons to change, which means new anime, and we're going to break down what we loved of last season, what we didn't like, and what you should or could be watching this upcoming spring season. So before we get into all the new things, let's talk about the season just gone. Now, if you cast your mind back to the start of this year and or end of last year, we might have gone early and said that we thought that this season might be weak. Turns out, wasn't. Wasn't at all.
Just keep eating crow on this podcast.
I love being wrong.
season sucks. It's the best season ever.
Classic anime fan mentality.
Classic anime fan.
Just being a hater, then being like, it was pretty good.
Actually, that was really good.
Oh, I actually really liked it.
Well, I guess we should all talk about probably the show of the last 2 seasons, really.
Show of the decade.
It's, you know what? People are starting to say this.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
are starting to say this. We are not being hyperbolic when we say Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. My God. You called it early, Graham.
I really did.
One of the big ones you called back
told
when
you.
we were all like, not a great season. This is before.
One thing we got right.
Well, in fairness, it was carrying
It
on
was a
last
one
season,
before.
but
We
yeah.
were
It's one
like,
before.
yeah,
It's one
yeah.
before. But Graham called it. Anyway, let us talk about the absolute glorious masterpiece that is Frieren. Have you both found it?
Oh, it's incredible. It is the show of the decade for me. It's
Wow.
in my top 10, absolutely. It's a stunning show. I love all the characters. I love that it's just a straight up fantasy without, like, we've talked about this show at length on this podcast, but like we just finished this arc, and the second arc was a exam arc, which I was just went, could this show get any better? Oh, here we go, a fucking exam arc. Absolutely. And what I really liked about it, I thought I was going to miss, I did miss some of the core, I missed Stark. But his cameos were fucking hilarious as well. And I also loved every character that got introduced. And I ended up being like, there's not a single shit character in Frieren. Even if you don't agree with their even antagonists. Like I love one of the antagonists of this season. Ubal is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, that lunatic. Like,
she's so good.
Yandere.
I love her so much because she's so dangerous. And the last episode where this show just continuously surprised me. You know, there's always build up and you think that the final exam is going to be some massive thing. And then it's just an elf sitting there being like, yes or no, based on your vibes. And I couldn't, I thought it was just so funny. And it really encapsulated the show. It was like the last episode was both moving, funny, and it's badass as well. But there were some great moments in there. The woman that passed, because she said that Siri was small and cute. She's like, you pass. And then Ubal, the one who is the Yandere, kind of like, basically she's so OP because in this world of Frieren, magic's like a visualized thing. So if you can imagine yourself doing it, you're more likely to be able to do that. So logical people who are usually magically gifted can't, there's a lot of parameters they can't break. But if you're, just delusional, then you're going to have an upper hand. So this particular mage in this exam, she honestly just believes that she can cut anything because she's just like, that's hair, I can cut that. Or she's like, that's flesh, I can cut that. And even though, the logical person would be like, well, no, there's enchantments. She'd just be like, it's fabric, gonna cut it. And genuinely it works. And I think that everyone knows that she's actually kind of like an Avengers threat level.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's so bad. And I love that, her passing the exam was Sari just being like, you pass, begrudgingly. It was like, ugh.
Just like, should we talk about it? No, there's no need.
Yep. Yeah. So good. I love Denkin was such a good character.
Brilliant character.
They were all great. And the people who deserved to pass passed. The people who didn't are going to come back next time. And I was really proud of all of them. I felt like I was there. I was in the exam.
Except Frieren didn't pass. That spoiler. But,
that was great.
No one cares. She's the most powerful mage outside of the main most powerful mage in existence.
Yeah.
So she's fine.
Well, she believes she's going to be outdone. I love that quote where she's like, this is all spoilers for Frieren, by the way, if you haven't watched Frieren. But she's like, now is the age of the humans. Yes. So good. Oh, it was so good. And Seri is such a good character because there's these two elves who are both mages, who are both insanely powerful.
Pretty much the two most powerful in the world.
They have completely opposite philosophies and they cannot see eye to eye. And it just frustrates Seri so much that she's this almighty, all-powerful being that's just so petty. Like when she bans Frieren from the magical society for 1,000 years. It's like, yo, Miss Frieren is bad. It's like, for 1,000 years. It's so good. Yeah, I love it so much. I love the relationships. I love Fern and Stark. I love Fern as a character as well.
Brilliant character.
It's the most wholesome show, but it's still badass. It's well thought out. It's existential. Beautifully animated. From what I hear, it's one of the best adaptations of a manga. Apparently it is better than the manga, and the manga is already very well received, but people are saying this is like all you can hope for in a manga adaptation. So Madhouse, done it again.
They back.
Yeah.
They back, baby. Madhouse bringing it back. It does something so interesting as a show, right? Like it is incredible to go from for example, in the last few episodes, right? There's the crazy huge climax of them fighting the clone of Frieren. And then the next episode is basically just all of the characters having dinner.
Yeah.
And it's just like a bit like what Cowboy Bebop does so beautifully in respect to how it catches the in-between moments of life.
Takes its time.
Exactly. Yeah. Which are really 90% of your life. Of course, you look back and you look at the huge milestone moments of your life, the big major things that might have happened to you, but everything else is just the day-to-day, seemingly banal, just in between, where you might not really realize that actually that was the most special part of my life, not the huge thing that I achieved or that horrifying thing that happened. Of course, they shaped you more than anything else, but even so, I think those beautiful little moments are just very hard to capture in fiction. I mean, maybe novels probably do it the best, but even so, still difficult to capture well. But Frieren just does something so unique. And I found it to be really special. So if you haven't watched Frieren, my God, haven't done our jobs. Go and watch it.
It's the whole point of the show as well, because it's about Frieren discovering what is important to her and it's lessons that she learned from Himmel far too late, which is that he's always the one that why did we need to go do this? And he's like, what's the point if we haven't taken the time to do this? So they're always doing random tasks, helping people. But then he says short farewells. Because he's like, we'll see each other. That was so, oh my God. I cry like every episode. But it's just it'd be embarrassing if we see each other again and we've had a tearful farewell. And you're like, Himmel. Sorry, I love them. I literally love every character like they were my best friend. That sounded really depressing on my part.
Hey,
They're
the
all
power of Frieren.
they're all my
it.
besties.
They're all
Me
my
and the
best-
gang.
they've gone
The whole
away.
gang are here.
Because when did you read it, Graham?
Must be about 4 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Must be.
So you've read
3 years
ahead
ago?
from where it's finished?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And does it continue on its path of being excellent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not a story. It's not like the One Piece. There is a goal in sight, but again, like you said, it is about the journey. It's about having those moments of just silence and sitting and realizing that sitting around a campfire making a meal is just as important as slaying a demon and stuff. Like it can pretty much continues on its course, and you guys are fine. You got more tears to shed.
Oh, can't wait.
No, absolutely outstanding. But the second one for me this season was, and when I spoke about it in the food anime episode, and again we got that email from the fan who we really appreciate.
Don't say the fan. We got
From-
thousands
we
of fans.
got many fans, but like from a fan,
From a fan.
From the best one.
from the best one. We've
got a letter from the viewer.
from that one guy. No, we got a great email from a fan telling us to check out Delicious in Dungeon or Dungeon Meshi, which is on Netflix, and I love it. It is so good because it does kind of almost the opposite of Frieren in that it leads with the sort of in between simple, let's just break down how lovely it is to share a meal with someone and the intricacies of cooking and especially the main the dwarf character Denshi, who basically is very much a part of the dungeon and all about the ecosystem and his place within nature and how he corresponds with it. It's a beautiful sort of character journey for him and how he teaches those around him to be like, hey, we're all part of something bigger than ourselves and you need to interact with it as opposed to fight it. And if it is, sometimes it's not your time, it's going to fight against you, maybe it's your time to go. But of course, it's just a really, really interesting part. But what's been interesting about that show is that it has then been like, oh, by the way, this dungeon's really complicated and the lore is actually really serious. And it's an amazing fantasy, but still really funny. Again, it's doing something really unique in that what starts off as like, how funny is it to cook monsters in a dungeon? How dumb's this? And at first I was like, this is really dumb and silly. I'll watch it. And now I'm like, oh, this is a badass fantasy story. Also about the beautiful simplicity of sharing a meal with friends and sharing life with people and your position in the world, but also funny, also badass and moving. I think people are sleeping on Delicious in Dungeon and it's easy to write it off as like anime madness, which premise-wise it is, but as anime often and always, not always, what it often does, sometimes it goes real far off to the left, but this one really lands and I think it's an absolute winner for me. It's my second pick of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Apothecary Diaries, talked about at length. Just announced for season 2. I'm so glad that everyone loves this show as much as I do. Like, it's had such an impact on people. People really fucking love it. It's a beautiful adaptation. Again, I talked about Mao Mao as a character, one of my favorite protagonists ever. The storyline is fascinating. I'm just a sucker for like any inner workings, palace, concubine, emperor story about like political threats and intrigue and poison, obviously, Apothecary. I love it. So this show I was always going to enjoy, but I'm glad that it has been as popular as it deserves to be. So good job, Apothecary Diaries, season 2. Can't wait.
It's been announced, right?
Yeah. It's such a good show. It's so beautiful. It's so well done. And it is so funny and just, it's fantastic. So I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. Another show that I've really enjoyed this season is A Sign of Affection. One thing is I think the problem is me though. Clearly the second male lead is not a good idea. Like clearly he's not meant to be like, I'm not meant to like him. But for some reason I'm like, what about the second male lead? Like the first male lead is like so great. He's like literally perfect. And like they have such a beautiful, cute relationship. But for some reason I'm like, I gotta feel sorry for the second male lead for no apparent reason. He's actually kind of a dickhead. But I'm like, what about him? It's a problem I have. I'm like really always going for the underdog. Even though he's not actually an underdog, it's just that in the story.
Just another man in the
yeah,
story.
and I was like, what about him? Like, what's his story? He gets like a lot of attention in it, but he's anyway. So it's nothing wrong with me. I'm for some reason was like into the second male lead. First male lead is amazing. It's great chemistry. It's a really good show. Recommend that one too. I dropped a few this year because
You watched all of them.
I watched all of them, so I dropped like I dropped a
95%.
recommend. Record amount of drops.
Okay, you think you have a drop-off rate?
Oh my
mate?
God.
Yeah, exactly.
Seventh time loop.
Rookie numbers.
Seventh time loop was really good. Still was going strong. I kind of found it like a bit repetitive on the way through, but only because I've read so many of that kind of genre. But I thought it was a really strong adaptation, and I think it's well done, clever. It was one of my favorite premiere episodes, but it kind of just sort of stayed there. And I think it was outdone by things like Frieren and Apothecary Diaries, but it's up there for me. So Seventh Time Loop, I do also recommend. What else did I watch? I kind of, dropped off from most of the other ones, to be honest. Like I was watching quite a few consistently, but yeah, as a whole, I think it's been eclipsed by Frieren. Apparently the Dangers in My Heart is meant to be incredible.
About that.
And I should watch it because everyone's like, apparently it's like the best romance. And I was like, for a season that was actually really romance heavy, I am surprised. So I should give that a go. That was on its second season, so I didn't watch it as part of my watch thing that I was doing. So, but I will give that a go. I've read about that, so looking forward to trying some new stuff. But yeah, anything. Solo leveling, of course.
Let's talk about solo leveling. Graham, what are your thoughts? Both of you, as memoir readers.
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought it would.
Me neither.
And I don't know if it's just maybe like the show is built around hype moments.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of like fleshing out of character. There's not as much as fleshing out of stuff as I thought there would be for an adaptation. It feels very surface level.
Yeah.
Which I wanted them to kind of like add a little bit more subtext to the story, flesh out Sun Jin Woo a little bit more, give the world a bit more lore and life. So I'm not going to say it's disappointing, but I think when that is such a hype sort of manhwa, you're just waiting for those moments and everything else seems to just fall to the wayside a little bit. I'm enjoying it.
I watched it every week through the season.
Yeah.
Because it's just doing that thing.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable.
Ticks a box.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I don't like need. It's always like, oh yeah, solo leveling. That's right. And I watch it. I'm like, that was fun. But you know what? I have always been watching every week, and maybe I'll change my favorite. But it's difficult because this season isn't quite the peak of the season before it. But I mentioned Kingdom at the start, and oh boy, did Sam watch 5 whole seasons. 100+ episodes.
How do you have the time?
It broke me at the start of this year, Graham. It broke me, but
I'm struggling to get through an episode a week of solo leveling.
mate, in the best possible way. When I had my time off from work, I was just like, well, I'll start Kingdom, as I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think I was in season 2 when we last checked in. Yeah, I'm in season 5. I'm watching it weekly now. I caught up, and let me tell you, it is so good, dude. Kingdom, you're sleeping on Kingdom. Yes, the first season looks like it was generated in some kind of IBM from 1996, and it looks appalling, but the story is extraordinary. The manga, as you know,
it's great.
Incredible manga.
Great. Yep.
I've even had to start reading the manga now because I can't handle being weekly. So it's Kingdom's in my top 10 of all time. This season isn't quite as good as the last, but at the same time, Kingdom is absolutely extraordinary. If I can just implore people to watch Kingdom, I'm going to do a YouTube video about it because there's a whole bunch of crossovers that need to be brought in here. But like Kingdom, y'all sleeping on it, absolutely outstanding. Those have been my 3 big ones, obviously, of course, with Frieren, wake up on a Saturday morning, leap onto the couch.
With your cereal.
And my coffee and my cereal being like, oh boy.
7-year-old.
Oh boy. Like I'm 8 years old watching the Saturday cartoons again.
That's honestly how Frieren feels though.
Honestly, it was the highlight of my
so
week.
excited
I'm not even
to watch
joking.
it.
I'm not even joking.
And
That in
Apothecary
Kingdom,
was Sunday, so it was like weekend, great, sorted.
Yep, Kingdom Saturday nights. So like and then solo leveling was sometime.
We really sound like the most boring people. I'd be like,
No, the
Saturday
coolest
nights,
people.
Kingdom, season 5. Let's go.
Go, we got an anime podcast. Who are we kidding? But anyway, any other notable mentions before we move on to next season, the spring 2024?
I think your point about solo leveling is interesting. It is a base level adaptation. They didn't do anything to flesh out where they kind of needed to.
Yeah.
Whereas like Frieren's the opposite. They kind of like that's how you adapt. And I think that like the way we talk about this, we have got a memoir episode coming out. We actually talk about this quite a length.
bit
Yes,
more,
we do.
I think that when it comes to like power fantasy memoirs that are about gates opening, very specifically, like reverse isekai kind of thing. There's a formula that anime hasn't quite cracked in how to get that right, and I think it's just probably to do with some like tweaks in narrative.
I think so.
And how it's adapted. Because I think that it works better as a webtoon or a memoir. But because I mean adaptations for a reason, right? And you sometimes have to adapt for different mediums. So yeah, I just think it's very baseline. The animation's fine. It's not bad by any stretch, but it's just not holding my interest, because I think there's been such amazing shows of just kind of, we've been like, well, we're getting the best show ever.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in the same breath. And I don't know.
Yes. And Frieren as well, as we speak, still number one on Mal. It's still holding Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. People haven't tanked it.
What was it 22, 23 episodes? Like,
yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. Apart
Never.
from like One Piece.
Yeah.
Still just every day.
Yes, no, it doesn't happen because the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood stands come and tank it, but it's holding.
Oh, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's time for Full Metal Alchemist to be taken off the throne. I love that.
I can't agree with that.
Cut a mic.
But I can't agree with that.
Mike.
No, I adore
we're done
Full
here.
Metal Alchemist
Yeah.
Brotherhood, but let's not be people that
This podcast is finished.
No, but like, you know, that's my favorite show. But
Of
I think
course.
that like it'd be
had
stupid
its
to
time.
admit that there's not shows coming out now that are just as good, and this one is just as. There hasn't been.
If there's anything that actually deserves to be up there with it, it is indeed Frieren.
We'll see if it sticks to landing though. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood sticks fucking landing.
One of the best endings to a show ever.
Yeah. So you can't really tell until it's finished, but at the
Of
moment,
course.
I can see how this is going.
Outstanding.
And the same director of Frieren did Bocce the Rock. Makes sense. It makes so
right.
much
That
sense to me,
is-
right?
How did I not
What a fucking
clock that?
incredible director.
Ugh.
And also the voice actor who voice acts Himmel also voice acts for Bakugo, and I didn't know this.
What?
How wild is that?
That is range, dude.
I love it. I fucking
Well,
love
just,
it.
He's just speaking instead of screaming.
Yeah,
So.
honestly, good on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the same director who obviously is just incredible,
genius.
because Bocce the Rock was one of my
Bocce
favorite
the Rock's
shows.
so good.
Season
And
2 coming out soon. We might have to wait for a while, because I'd rather them finish Bocce the Rock do Bocce, because that does deserve a second season 4, and then take time. I'd love the same creative team to be on Frieren season 2.
Yes.
Like they nailed it so much. It'd be really wonderful to see that same team together. So even if it means we have to wait, happy to wait. Like
100%.
Frieren would want us to wait. She'd want us to find a grimoire. She'd want us to spend 10 years in a town
The
before
in-between,
season
yo.
2, you know? That's what we've learned, to be fucking patient.
have a cup of tea, eat some dinner with your friends.
Have a cup of tea and then send a clone to pass a magic exam for you.
without ever leaving your house. Yep.
That guy really won, okay? He not only got like a
figured it
hot
out.
goth girlfriend out of it,
Yeah.
but he passed
a
the mage
stalker
exam.
girlfriend, but yeah,
Good for him.
good for him. You know, to each their own.
Goals, babe. Goals.
All right. Now, let us move on to the upcoming spring 2024 season. Firstly, we need to go through the returning shows, of course. And there are some big heavy hitters. Big Isekai season. In fact, a massive Isekai season. Three of
What
the
do you mean?
biggest.
That's every
A massive
season.
anime season.
Well, the three of the very, very biggest isekais are
going back,
returning.
yeah.
Except, and the other one, the one that I actually watch, which I think is the best of them, ReZero, announced for October. We got fall, Graham.
Gotta have a rewatch.
We got fall, man.
cannot remember anything that happened.
He dies.
Fun story. He dies
A
and he
lot.
comes back and he dies.
I don't
and
think he
goes-
dies that much
and
in
he
the last
suffers.
season.
No, he died all the time.
In the last one?
All the time.
Season
The
1.
rabbits. Remember the rabbits?
That was season
that was
1.
season 1.
That was season 2. The rabbits
No, it
was season 2.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the interesting thing
that's
about
why I need to rewatch it.
the
That
interesting thing
was
about
bad.
ReZero, right? This isn't part of this next season, but I've got me started.
It's coming. It's coming.
So,
No, don't talk about ReZero. Got another thing.
God damn it.
Fine. Go. What would you want to
Returning-
say about
returning-
4
ReZero?
returning.
years between each season, which means they take their sweet, sweet time, and I'm here for it. Because, Graham, if you remember, you and I really started to become proper into this anime podcasting together by watching ReZero.
Yep.
Indeed. And that was 4 years ago, season 2. And it was
Wow.
2016, the first one
really
came out.
4 years.
Yes.
Jesus.
COVID years don't count. Anyway,
This is true.
That's the other big hitter coming out. But
That's way off. That's way
yeah,
off.
we'll get to that later on in the year. But right now we have Konosuba returning.
Konosuba, Bless This Wonderful World Season 3.
Season 3, I believe. We've also got Reincarnated as that time I got Reincarnated as a slime is coming back. And of course, one that we all hate, but is of course coming back, Mushoku Tensei. Jobless Reincarnation, which don't watch that, it's garbage. We don't like that. But it's a huge heavy hitter of that, there is no question. But yeah, Reincarnated as a slime, Konosuba, Graham, we never really talk about those.
Oh, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Both isekais, but very different sort of directions. So that time I got reincarnated as slime. I'd say it's more of a management sim, like, you know, those games where you like look after, like The Sims. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So this guy gets isekai, becomes a slime, but then like befriends a dragon, and then has this ability called Predator. So he like eats things, and then takes on abilities of other creatures. And then he sort of just works his way up to like having a crew, and then building a town, and then building a nation, and then forming political alliances with other nations. Like, it sounds really dumb because it is based around a slime called Rui Tempest is his name. It's a lot of fun, but it is like a game of The Sims where this little slime character is building his empire.
I can fully see myself getting into that.
Yeah,
To be
apparently
honest
it's
with you.
great.
Yeah.
I actually been
know.
on my
I've
list.
been sleeping on it for years, and I keep looking at it, being like, I should probably watch that. But I just watched 165 episodes of Kingdom, so
Yeah, but you get to see him build a kingdom.
God.
While being a slime. Like,
I'm gonna lose my job now because I'm gonna
Yeah.
be watching Reincarnated.
Yeah.
It's not 160 episodes, though, thank God.
but it's a lot of fun. Like, all the characters are like real fun as well. He befriends like goblins, and in this world, like you kind of evolve if you're giving a name. If someone gives you a name, then you kind of evolve. So he sort of shares his power with like his little goblin friends, and then some invaders from another kingdom come over, and he shares his power with them, and they're all loyal to him. And it's a good show. It
Yeah.
sounds really dumb, but it's actually really wholesome and quite a good show.
Well, as we've established,
Yeah.
a lot of these premises sound crazy,
Yeah,
but sometimes
Yeah.
they work. My God, a slime that eats things and absorbs their powers,
Yeah.
just might be crazy enough to work.
Yeah, but he absorbs them. Like, he does eat them, but they become part of him. So the dragon, he takes his name of Tempest from the dragon, and the dragon still lives within him, just a part of him. Like, you might see the character with the blue hair, kind of feminine.
Yeah, Rimuru, right?
Rimuru, that's actually like another human that came into the world, but she was there for a lot longer and became like an assassin for the Demon Lord. He sort of looks after her as she's dying of like an illness or something. He absorbs her so she can live on in him, and he takes their form and stuff. There's a lot of there's a lot of touching moments as well.
Interesting. Okay. And Konosuba, I hear a bit more basic.
Bit more
yeah.
fan servicey,
A
apparently.
lot more fan service.
It's more
right?
on the comedy side of things, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is one of the funniest animes I've ever watched.
Really?
Yeah, because it's about, you know, a kid who gets isekai to defeat the Demon Lord, but he's just so lazy that he just wants to like hang out and just, you know, chill and be in bed and eat snacks all the time, but the world
Okay.
is kind of forcing him out to be there.
Okay, that's funny.
I relate.
Yeah. You know, and he teams up with Aqua, who's a goddess who, like, you know, when they do that whole thing of like, oh, you're going to be reincarnated, and here's like, what do you need to like defeat the Demon Lord? And he was like, I want you to come with me. So he like steals her from the heavens and stuff, and she's like real salty about it. And no one believes that she's the goddess as well.
Wow.
So she's just trying to like let people know that she's a goddess, but her powers are so diminished because she's been pulled from the heavens. So she's supposed to be able to control the seas, and she can barely like spray water in people's faces. Like, it's
Okay. That's really funny. And then Megumin, of course, the explosions.
she's the best character in the world. She just likes explosions. She will not evolve her magic because she just likes blowing shit up. She's like, why would I waste time like learning how to teleport stuff when I can just blow up a mountain? Like, one of the funny sort of arcs of this is just her practicing her explosion magic on this faraway castle. Like, every day she just goes there to like blow up this castle, but like it's actually the Demon Lord's castle, and he just doesn't know what's happening every time. Like, every day he wakes up to just explosions. And then he comes to town and he's like, what the hell is going on? She's like, I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I don't know. Then the next day she's right there going. Like,
That sounds fun. But it is quite fan servicey, right?
It is quite fan servicey. Yeah, it does have some real like ecchi sort of moments.
Okay.
So I can't recommend it for everyone. But
Not a gateway show.
I wouldn't say it's a gateway show, but it is really funny. I kind of give it a little leeway because of the humor for it.
Okay.
But not for everyone. Not for everyone.
No, but we've got some other returners. The big hitter, of course, and you can check out our YouTube video explaining everything there is to know before this comes out, is, of course, Demon Slayer, the Hashira training arc.
Hey.
Massive, obviously. I mean, interesting because obviously you and I both read the manga,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a training arc. Which,
It's
of course,
a
is classic
massive training
shonen
arc.
tropes. It's not my favorite training arc of any of the shows I've ever seen. No. I would argue potentially that this might... Everyone was complaining about last season, which I thought was fine.
It was fine.
Was fine.
That was just me complaining about last season.
No, there are a lot of people complaining about it. It's animation-wise, and I mean, also
the animation
not
was good.
Not its strongest season.
Animation's always good in Demon Slayer.
Yes, but it wasn't season 1, episode 19 good, or
Give
Mugen
him a
Train
break.
good,
Very
or the
rarely.
ending of season 2 good. And again, I think we've held Demon Slayer up to such a high standard that it's almost unfair. Because
So unfair. It looks great.
It looks fantastic pretty much all the time. But this is a training arc, and it's pretty cool. It's cool. A lot of good lore comes out. We finally get to meet the Hashira we haven't met. My favorite Hashira is about to come in, and I'm not going to spoil anything about who that is, but he is the leader of them. And then you'll find out who that is pretty soon, for those of you who know.
He's the guy on the front cover, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes. The blind priest.
Spoiler, we've met him before.
Yes, but like...
when
Yeah,
you
you
wind
he's
up.
You meet all the
little to
Hashiras.
nothing to do.
Yeah, but you get the vibe he's the strongest.
And it's not even close. He's so much stronger than everybody
Yeah,
else.
I'm looking
I can't
forward-
have spoiled this now.
I'm
Great.
looking forward to meeting him.
He is a fantastic character. I really like him. He's pretty much my favorite character in the show. But I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to look good. But people will. I'm already anticipating the complaints
Oh, people are going to complain.
because it's not an action heavy arc because they're all training to do things and.
Well, there'll be cool fights. There'll be
There are some
Harashira,
cool.
Harash,
You can see
training
the
and stuff.
Harasha.
It's going to be
Hashira
good.
do shit. It's cool, but of course, that's going to be a heavy hitter, irrespective. But whatever. Another big returning one, of course, My Hero Academia season 7. Season 7.
You know what?
We're getting old.
So I started watching My Hero Academia again recently, accidentally. It was on TV at work.
Oh,
And I was like, and by on TV at work, I mean I
You
put
put
it on.
TV.
when I put it on TV at work.
Me and my boss put it
slipped.
on TV. No, literally, we were just standing there watching it. And I was like, is this the greatest show ever? Like, I re-fell in love with My Hero Academia.
It's an excellent show.
Because I was avoiding doing my work and just staring at it. And I was like, fuck, this is a compelling show. But honestly, season 1, and I do love all those characters a lot. And I think it does get lost along the way. 7 seasons is a long time,
this is the thing.
But I feel like it was starting to find its stride again. There was a
loved
lot
the last
happened in the
season.
last season. Because the stuff I didn't love was the overhaul.
Yeah,
His name?
that was a poor overhaul arc. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
poor arc. Even though it was Kenjiro Suda doing the voice.
Oh, he was
voice.
great.
It was a
Nothing
poor,
wrong with the
it was a
character.
poor arc, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more the way they kind of narratively did that. But I think the rest of it, the
And
My
some
Villain
poor animation
Academia was
things too.
cool. I thought that this, that it's kind of building up to this moment. So I thought it was good. So I will be tuning in again. I'm a newfound. I kind of forget about My Hero Academia, and then when I watch it, I'm like, this is great. So
It just ticks all the boxes you want from the shonen.
So I'll be getting back into it, I think.
Yeah, cool.
We have two of the best long-running shonens airing at the same time with Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia this season. So you're going to get your shonen fix and your isekai fix. They there. We're eating good for those of you who are isekai and or shonen fans. You're all good there. Speaking of interesting, Misfit of the Demon King Academy is coming back.
What?
God, how's that? That's
How many seasons is it? 3?
3 is the 3rd season.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't remember if it's the second core or if it's the start of a new season.
Yeah.
Again, I've stopped
The
caring.
first episode was funny.
It
Oh, when he
was funny,
yeets
but then
a
you're like,
castle at
oh,
someone?
it's the same joke all the time.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. He kills a
it's-
man with his heartbeat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was here for it for a bit.
The most OP protagonist power fantasy of them all. Even more silly than Overlord in many ways.
Yeah.
Equally so. Yeah, I mean they're sort of the big long running shows coming back. There are several more season 2s and 3s and whatnot, but they're the big heavy hitters. But of course, what I find most interesting about these episodes that we do is finding the new shows, the new gems. But let's start with what is probably the most obvious one. And again, if you want some more information about this, you can look at our relatively new YouTube video about Kaiju No.8. Obviously, we talked about this a lot in our previous episode, but Graham, do you want to just, for those who haven't, give us a brief rundown of Kaiju No.8? We've talked about it in other media.
I've talked about this show
yeah.
about 65 times now.
It's true.
You
You
don't
have,
know
honestly,
what
too
this
long-
show is about.
Yeah. In fact, go and check that out. We all know
Yeah.
what's going on, but
Yeah.
this
I'll
is
give you
hype.
the brief. I'll give you the
Real-
brief.
Too long,
quick.
didn't read. Go.
So, Godzilla world of monsters attacking Tokyo. There's a special defense force that defends against monster attacks. Kafka Habino is a part of the cleanup crew who one day while cleaning up monsters gets infected by a kaiju parasite and turns into a kaiju and decides to join the defense force.
Hey.
And
And it
uses
looks
those
great.
powers. Yeah, I'm excited.
Looks real stylized. I'm pretty keen.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is
People
very
are
exciting.
excited for this one. This
Yeah,
is
this
a
is-
top
this-
pick for us all.
Big hype. Big hype. So we're looking forward to that. Now, Charlie, do you want to change the tone a little bit from kaijus and demons and reincarnations and
I found some wild shit this season.
I have no doubt, but let's talk about something that all three of us have done as jobs in the past.
oh yeah.
Let's talk about a show called Bartender. Because I'm actually really low-key excited for this.
Bartender Glass of God is the full
Thank
title.
you. Thank you, yes.
God.
All right, tell me more.
So this
Title's
is actually
got
a
me.
remake of an older
True,
show.
true.
Though, anyway, as I found out, and I was like, well, I've never watched that. I remember reading about it, and I should probably watch that. Then I'm too triggered by my actual life as a bartender. But since none of us bartend anymore, it might be nice to take a trip down memory lane. And I like how this is going to be nothing like my bartending career. Hidden in the backs, this is a My Anime List synopsis. Hidden in the back streets of the Ginza district is Eden Hall, a lone bar operated by Ryu Sasakura, the prodigy bartender who is said to mix the most incredible cocktails anyone has ever tasted. Is this about me? No, it isn't. Sorry. However, not just anyone can find Eden Hall. Rather, it is Eden Hall that must find you. Customers of varying backgrounds, each plagued with their own troubles, wander into this bar. Nevertheless, Ryu always knows the ideal cocktail to console and guide each distraught soul. So it's like, I guess it's this idea that it's like the room of requirement, but it's like the bar of requirement.
Bar requirement?
Yeah. So it's sort of like you go there, you're feeling shit, and the bartender will, like, it's that whole thing about, like, you know, penny for your thoughts, like, bartender.
Appletini.
Yeah.
It looks
Appleton.
amazing.
But
At the trailer.
I'm here for this show. It sounds like we're going to get, like, you know, heaps of different genres, like within it, because you're going to have everyone's different backstory. It's a one setting. Eden Hall sounds like a bar I would like to go to. Hopefully it appears to me one day. Probably won't. I'll probably get cut off at Eden Hall. I know one person, they're like, you get out of here.
Get out of here, you drunk idiot.
Ryu's like, no. Like,
What's the cocktail that you would like want or think you need
Ooh,
to
that's
set everything right?
a good question. I mean, I'm always like, if I'm being a fancy boy, I'm all about like a Ron Zacapa old fashioned.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm talking
Okay,
fancy boy.
you
So
are fancy boy.
For those of you who don't know what Ron Zacapa is, it's 23-year-old aged Guatemalan rum made by monks in the mountains. And basically it's made by the
Blind
Solera
monks.
process, and which means they drop it through different makes of barrel over 23 years, which gives it a real oak properties. And yes, I'm a wanker, and but I'm a huge fan. That'd be what I would hope this
Was
man
there,
makes for
yeah,
me
yeah.
as I walk
Yeah.
in the door.
Sam, you are going to love this show so much. I feel like it's going to be all about,
I am-
like, we know that it's going to go into the intricacies of actual, like,
Yes.
mixology, stuff like
Yes,
that.
which I love.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it's just got all the food anime, and you can check out our episode if you haven't already of that, where it's basically the same show all the time, but like, again, beautiful slice of life ideas of like, it's about the characters and it's about the place in their life where they find this place, and then they recount that, and they have a beautiful interaction. And in obviously food anime, of course, it's the food that transcends, but this will be the drinks transcending, and it will help them, you know, contextualize their lives and perhaps lend a nice ear. And you know, there's something about hospitality, and it's you get it in Japan very, very well. You know, I mean, obviously there's language barriers, of course, as a tourist, but like even so, there is, because you get those tiny little bars, which I think this one is also a really small, tiny bar. In Australia, you can't really do that. They exist, small bars exist, but not tiny bars because rent's so fucking high. So you can't do that. It's not feasible, which is a shame because Australia has an excellent bar culture. In fact, I think we punch well above our weight in bar culture in Sydney and Melbourne in particular, even Perth. I mean, I haven't been to Brisbane and experienced their bar culture, but I think Australian bar culture is actually really cool. However, Japanese bar culture, I think, is actually quite close to American speakeasy style, where you get those really small, intimate places where you actually get to feel like you have a relationship with the bartender in respect to, you're like, this is an experience we're having. And that's what the best hospitality is. It's an experience. And speaking of in-between moments, some of my favorite experiences in my whole life has been drinking in bars and having a wonderful experience with a bartender. So yes, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, particularly if it appears magically. Like
Even more, even
I've
better.
never seen it before, that it suddenly appears, and I'd be pretty happy with that too. My drink's a margarita.
Ooh.
Okay. Super basic, but it's delicious. I don't really care.
That's
Like,
fair.
give me a salty, sour treat
It's a wonderful drink.
with tequila.
Hell yes. Gray?
I'll have an old fashioned stirred for 20 minutes.
Okay.
Minimum. I want a wrist to hurt somewhere in the process of my drink making.
So super watered down.
Big ice cube. Boom. Like
Watery ass.
No, I
Watery.
want it to just be standing in a big freezer,
Yep.
so the ice doesn't melt. But I need
But
that.
what's-
I need that sugar mixed in
But
properly.
what's your base spirit? We're both old-fashioned men.
I'll probably do a whiskey rather than a bourbon base. And I'll probably do like a Glenmorangie 25, maybe 30 if they've got it.
Interesting. Fun story with a whiskey. It's a Rob Roy.
Yeah, it is.
And you
yeah.
use a different bitters.
technically.
You use Peychaud's instead of Angostura.
Sam, are you the protagonist in this fucking game? Are you actually this character?
I took bartending seriously when I did it. But,
I didn't.
I like from a whiskey, especially like something that's lowlands that's unpeated, is like the apricot sort of vibe you get from it. So I like this almost like fruit flavorings you get with it rather than the corn sort of vibe you get from a bourbon. Man,
nice.
we just changed subjects on podcasting real quick.
Good job. Welcome to Gateway to Bartending.
We actually know probably way more about bartending.
Probably.
As much about bartending as we do anime. Anyway, those are past lives, but that sounds badass.
Hey.
That sounds like an awesome drink. We should make that soon. Anyway, Charlie, what other unhinged nonsense have you found? Because you're always the queen of unhinged nonsense when
No,
it
I've got
comes
a couple
to these.
ones. I'm going to start with some good ones. So we've got like a reboot of an incredibly popular anime from 2008. So we've got Spice and Wolf is coming back. So this version is called Spice and Wolf Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf. And this is a show that is like, people really love the relationship between the two characters. It's always one of those shows that's been kind of lauded for its romantic chemistry between the two leads, and also like the way in which it's about merchants and about like selling, and it's all about business. It's like a really great anime about business, even though it is a fantasy world. So I'll give you the synopsis of the original one, because this one, there's no official synopsis out yet. It's just that we know that it's a reboot, so it's a they're gonna like a Brotherhood-esque of this. Hollow is a powerful wolf deity who is revered in the small town of Parslow for blessing the annual harvest. Yet as years go by and the villagers become more self-sufficient, Hollow has been reduced to a mere folktale. When a travelling merchant named Craft Lawrence stops at the settlement, Hollow offers to become his business partner if he takes her to her northern home in Yoitsu. The savvy trader recognises Hollow's unusual ability to evaluate a person's character and accepts her proposition. Now in the possession of both the sharp bargaining skills and a charismatic negotiator, Lawrence inches closer to his goal of opening his own shop. However, as Lawrence travels the countryside with Hollow in search of economic opportunities, he begins to realise that his aspirations are slowly morphing into something unexpected. So yeah, it's like a very kind of slow-paced character study about trying to build a business and two people falling in love, and him falling in love with a cute fox deity girl. So good for them.
Kisune sort of vibe.
Yeah, well, she literally is a fox.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's a fox girl. Like, you know what? She's a deity. Yeah.
Deity.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Kisune.
So I actually haven't seen it, the original, but I know that people fucking love it, and I always get recommended to me. I just was like, I don't know if I can watch an economics anime show, but I reckon I'd like it if I actually gave it a go.
You'd be surprised. One thing we've learned and hopefully imparted to you, anime makes pretty much anything interesting at its best.
Yeah, it's also not just like a generic economic show. He's like dating a fox deity, and they're like, there's a lot going on.
You
so
got
it
greedy,
should be
Martin.
good.
You got greedy.
This other one I found is a shoujo, and it's called A Condition Called Love. Hotaru Hinase is a first-year high school student who treasures her family and friends above all else. Unable to understand romance, she decides she would be content living without the experience of falling in love. While Hotaru is spending time at a cafe with her close friend, she witnesses the relentless breakup of a handsome honor student, Hananoi. Encountering him sitting alone in the snow on her way home, she extends her umbrella to him in a gesture of kindness. The very next day, Hananoi appears in Hotaru's classroom asking her to be his girlfriend. Despite being rejected, Hananoi sticks closely by Hotaru's side, performing selfless acts in the hopes of pleasing her. Hotaru begins to feel emotions she had never felt before. Believing that these emotions could blossom into love, Hotaru agrees to date Hananoi. So, that could be problematic reading that out loud.
Yes.
But
Just don't take no for an answer, eh?
but from what I gather, I think it is quite a gentle shoujo anime that I'm sure that I will watch. I have no thoughts about it. All right. Grandpa and Grandma turn young again. I want to watch this so badly. Okay. Shozo and Ino Saito have been happily married for as long as they can remember. Even in their old age with wrinkles and cracking limbs, the strength of this love is evidenced by their precious bond. And then, randomly one day, they wake up to find they are young again. Despite their newfound youthful and attractive bodies, Shozo and Ine remain the same as ever. It follows a young old couple as they go about their daily lives, spend time with family, and define the expectations of the youngsters.
Okay,
I was like, this sounds wholesome as hell.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It's pretty fucking wholesome right there.
Yeah, that's
I was
wholesome as
like,
fuck.
I'm absolutely watching that.
Yeah, that actually sounds legit.
So
I was expecting something way worse.
well, don't worry because I'm
Okay.
next. Oh, you want to go first?
Before you get into your unhinged nonsense, I've got something which sounds ludicrous, and I'm here for it. This is called Windbreaker. I got to read the synopsis because it's just like, imagine if Tokyo Revengers didn't take itself seriously and was good. It might not be good, but this sounds funny. Haruka Sakura wants nothing to do with weaklings. We're off to a good start. He's only interested in the strongest of the strong. Keeps ticking boxes. He's just started at Frieren High School, a school of degenerates known only for their brawling strength. Strength they use to protect their hometown. However, Haruka has no desire to be a hero or defend the weak. He just wants to fight his way to the top.
To the top, baby.
I mean, that just sounds so dumb and so excellent. It's by Cloverworks as well.
Hell yeah.
Spy Family, Promised Neverland, Bocce the Rock, as we just mentioned, Horimiya. Very reputable studio, of course. Based off a web manga. I don't know. I reckon this could be really fun. Sounds utterly ridiculous, and sometimes I'm here for that. So anyway, Gray, do you have anything you want to add to the melange?
Go Loser
yeah.
Ranger. It's coming out this year. I think it got pushed from last season or last year because I think there was production issues. It's basically like what if the Power Rangers but the boys.
Okay.
So the monsters invade the world, the Dragon Force sort of subdue them really quickly, and now they keep the monsters in prison to churn out a monster of the week to sort of entertain the crowds in a large stadium. One of the minions has had enough of this, and he sets off to destroy the Rangers because they can shapeshift. So he joins like the school for Rangers to climb the ranks to become a Ranger and destroy them from within. Could be great, could be trash, I don't know.
Yeah, I did when I was going through the list, I was like, that sounds fun.
You've talked about that before, haven't you?
I have. I've read a lot of it. It kind of, the pace of it's just a bit slow. So I'm hoping they kind of tighten some stuff up in the anime. So it could be great. Could be great. Evil Rangers, are they heroes? Who's the bad guy? Who's the hero? You don't really know.
I like it.
This sounds completely up my alley. When you said The Boys meets Power Rangers, I went, well, absolutely, I'll be watching that for sure. I love The Boys.
Oh, great.
I'm such a sucker.
That's Eric Kripke. It's the creator of Supernatural.
Love Supernatural. I'm such a
Love
sucker.
Supernatural.
Anyway,
now
speaking of Supernatural,
time for Charlie's Unhinged section.
I would like to talk about a show called Vampire Dormitary.
Okay, we're here.
Time for Charlie's Unhinged segment.
This doesn't sound that unhinged, to be honest. It just sounds ridiculous.
Remember that show you talked about with vampires and cell phones and music? What was that?
Yeah.
That was
where there was like an idol competition with vampires.
Yes.
Yeah, that was ludicrous.
That was
anyway.
the best show ever. And I was calling it the wrong name the whole time. It was like something really embarrassing. And then Joss and I were like, thank God no one corrected me because no one has ever watched that show. So there was, I really got away with that.
I'm hoping for that sort of level of vampire.
Yeah, here we
show.
go.
No, I mean, we'll never reach the heights.
No.
Let's be honest.
That was a good find.
This one, like, look, when I get to the end of the synopsis, I'll tell you what my thoughts about this are. It's not actually that unhinged. I just thought Vampire Dormitory sounded... Vampire Dormitory? Vampire Dormitory. Vampire Laundry?
Vampire Laundry.
Hey.
It's the worst show I've ever seen.
All the best. I'm a vampire. Takes over a laundromat in downtown Tokyo.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm listening.
Can only wash clothes at night. I think it'll be all right.
Mito Yamamoto is a beautiful man, so much so that women swarm the restaurant he works at daily. When the restaurant owner decides that he has had enough, he fires Mito, leaving him unemployed and with no place to call home. Soon after, Mito happens upon a cafe and receives a cut on the hand from a broken glass. A strange man named Ruko Satomi takes Mito aside to presumably tend to the injury, but instead he licks away Mito's blood, remarking that it tastes disgusting before asking Mito to leave. Later that night...
You licked it!
Yeah, get out of here.
I didn't ask for this. Get out of here. You're both disgusting.
Later that night, Mito accidentally slips off the roof of a building.
What a weird fucking day.
What the hell is this?
You get fired.
Yeah. Some man licks your wounds
And then insults your blood.
and you fall off a roof.
And you fall off a roof. What was he doing on the
He's
roof?
having the worst day
It's a
ever.
bad day.
Fuck.
Okay, Mito accidentally slips off the roof of a building and is caught by Ruka, who reveals himself to be a vampire. Ruka explains that a man's blood tastes disgusting and the blood of someone unloved has an even worse flavor. However, Ruka cannot drink from girls, so he has been looking for a beautiful boy to become his thrall. He proposes that Mito fills this role and that he allow Ruka's affections to ripen his blood. Mito accepts and begins living with Ruka in the Hirajoka Boys Academy dormitory. However, there is just one problem in all this.
There's a lot of problems in all this.
In fact, this is the least of the problems in all this.
Okay.
Jesus.
Mito is actually a girl.
What a twist.
Wow.
Yeah, look, so there's
Not better.
a lot to unpack at Vampire Dormitory.
Fucking hell.
But it's really giving so this is a weird thing where I kind of went, I have to watch an episode. I have to
You
watch
have to.
I
You
have
gotta
to.
watch the episode.
I'm gonna watch all of them because I need to see. And taking away everything this is saying about gender and any queer reading on this, we know that there's probably a lot of if you really want to get into it, doesn't sound like it's particularly promising in that regard. But shows like this have existed, like Oran High School Host Club, that have a main thing of a character who is performing a different gender, that kind of thing. It's a long kind of line, and this is a shoujo manga adaptation.
Okay.
So it's coming from a long line of that kind of tradition, right? So I'll give it a go. I don't have high hopes, because it's giving Vampire Night, which if anyone else had a traumatic time in high school,
dear.
and a lot of people I know's first anime was Vampire Night, where the girl's main love interest, it turns out to be, she's in a love triangle with her step brother, or adopted brother, and then the other guy, because I'm that's weird, babe, maybe go for the other guy. It turns out the other guy's her literal biological brother. And that it's a vampire thing, and then she ends up with her biological brother. And I was just this is terrible. There's so much chaos and it's this bizarre thing. So historically, shoujo vampire shows, also Diabolic Lovers, which is the most problematic thing that's ever happened to anyone. Do not watch that. Honestly, don't. It's based off an Otomi game where this one girl moves into a house full of vampires and they all just abuse her in different ways. And it was really popular in the 2000s.
What's going on with the vampire genre?
This is
Why
vampire
are
genre.
they all living in dormitories?
What's that about?
And how do I move in? No, I'm joking. Kidding. Sorry. I don't know how old these vampires are, by the way. Probably 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see I have no idea what the character designs of this show looks like. It could be fucked. So anyway, I thought I'd read out Vampire Dormitory. It just caught my eye. We'll see how Vampire Dormitory goes.
We'll see unhinged.
I love vampires. What if it's got amazing lore? Anyway.
What if it's got amazing
What if
lore?
it's got amazing lore? Said every ecchi fan ever.
All right, my other one is not so funny as that was the most unhinged one, but this one's called Unnamed Memory. My wish as a champion is for you to descend the tower and be my wife. That's in quotation marks.
Yep,
it's a
very
quote.
good.
Climbing a deadly tower, Oscar seeks the power of its master, the Witch of the Azure Moon. He hopes her incredible magic can break a curse that will kill any woman he takes for a wife. When the prince sees how beautiful Tinashe is, though, he has a better idea. Since she's surely strong enough to survive his curse, she should just marry him instead. Tinashe isn't keen on the idea but agrees to live with Oscar in the royal castle for a year while researching the spell placed on the prince. The witch's pretty face hides several lifetimes of dark secrets. However, secrets that begin resurfacing. So all three of my recommendations have all got people just being if I stick around long enough, then they will marry me. Or they
got
move
filthy
into a
blood.
German.
Come live in my school.
Come live in my school. So
We all learned something this week.
Fucking hell. Anyway, I should have left the grandpa wholesome one till last.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you really have to
myself.
sour
It's a
taste.
palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Anyway, so those are ones that I've just noted. Just so you guys know, when we're watching, is none of them have aired yet. None of these have aired.
We're going early again. This is
So
how we do these episodes now.
Once again, it's kind of funny for us to pick things that are then trash, and we'll miss some masterpiece. Always
happens.
There's a
We're
show that
watching weird
couldn't.
vampire dorm shows instead.
A real rabbit hole. Clearly, there's countless.
Vampire Dormitory.
You gotta watch it and let us know.
I can't even.
I've got one more just to throw into the mix here. And again, no idea what this is going to be like. But this show's called The Fable. And it's made by Tezuka Productions, of course. Osamu Tezuka,
Nice.
as we all know. Astro Boy, whatnot. Also helped make Pluto. But okay. Fable is a legendary hitman who has completed numerous jobs for a variety of clients. After concluding his latest assignment, the number of people he has recently killed becomes too high for some reason. And Fable is ordered by his boss to lay low for a year for other reasons. He has suggested that having to adapt to life as an ordinary citizen might prove a valuable experience for his future work. Fable is to be accompanied by the woman who acts as his driver, and the two will assume new identities as siblings. Okay, I've got some problems already. However, the boss warns them that they will both face deadly punishment if Fable kills anyone during his time off, presumably for more reasons. Thus begins Akira and Yoko Sato's joint 1-year sabbatical from the underworld. Sounds ridiculous. So, Lord knows what that's going to be like. It could be funny. It could be cooked.
It sounds like it's coming from an angle of like Mr. Things Day Off kind of vibe.
Oh, Mr. Villain's
Day Off, which was
Yeah.
which I actually thought was really cute. I like that kind of idea of like a big bad or Way of the House Husband.
Way of the House
or someone
Husband, yeah,
fish out of
Sakamoto
water.
Days or something like that.
Yeah, look. I mean, it could be good.
Look, this is why I was going through it and I was like, the art style looked pretty cool because they've sort of gone for an older style, kind of the classic sort of Yakuza, with the old
the
yeah.
Pompadour sort of looking thing.
Exactly. I was like, this could be interesting. Again, we've been shockingly wrong before. But it could be interesting. So that's one, The Fable. Anyway, who knows? Meet us back at our mid-season check-in when we all realise that it's the worst show ever made.
The vampire show was the real.
The vampire show's the hit of the season. Get out of here, Frieren.
Knocked off #1 Mal by Vampire Dormitary. Absolutely.
Right, that's anything else from you, Grave? You've hit
I
the.
think that's about it.
That's
man.
about it, eh?
There's
Yeah.
a lot coming out this
There's
year.
a lot.
but-
This is a stacked season, and obviously
Yeah.
some big heavy hitters at the top. Demon Slayer, obviously. I think Kaiju No.8, if they adapt it well, will
I think
be
it'll be
great.
good. I think it'll be good. I'm quietly confident. If it's not, game over, man.
Shame.
In our mid-season check-in, we'll have more of an answer for you as to what is
We
good
will.
and bad.
We will.
Yeah, jump on my anime list. There's a list coming out of when it airs and everything, and where it's airing on, like Crunchyroll. If you need to go and I guess read the synopsis, see what stands out to you. Let us know in the comments if we've missed something amazing that you're excited that's being adapted or whatever. Like we'd love to, we always love to take people's recommendations. So please do that.
Absolutely.
I will say, I haven't watched the show, but probably my favorite thing of this year so far has been the Mashal opening. Mashal
Yeah.
season 2
Blown up.
opening
Yeah.
is so good. That song is such a banger. I can't stop listening to it. I can't stop watching it. I've been watching clips of the artist doing it live. Like I've taken over my life. Have never watched the show. Have no idea what's happening in the opening sequence whatsoever. But it's made me want to watch it. And apparently people do like it.
They do, but it's mid. I'm telling you, it's mid.
Well, I'm gonna watch
I
it.
watched 3/4 of the first season, and I was like, what am I
Read the
doing?
manga. Read the manga. The manga's good.
But it doesn't have the opening theme from season
Just
2.
play the opening thing
I
every
could-
time you read one chapter.
Doing the dance with the
The
manga.
dance is, look, it is a badass theme. Anyway, thank you so much. As always appreciate y'all checking in, and we are always here to recommend things to you, but please recommend things to us. If we've missed anything or if there's anything you're excited about, hit us up via email at hello@gatewaytoanime.com. Comment on the YouTube channel if you're watching us there, or just hit us up on any social media, which are, of course, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube I just mentioned. And again, if you want to leave us a review, please do on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Really does make a big difference. And again, if you really like what we're doing, head on over to Patreon. We've got a whole backlog of extra episodes, and we'll be doing our little what else we watch at the moment for our special episode for this one. So if you want to find out what other things we watch and or play and or read outside of anime and manga, that will be the special episode on Patreon this time around. But there's a whole backlog of those for you to watch if you like what we're doing. Really does help. We're a small operation, and your support means the world to us. So thank you so much, everyone. That is fall 2024 in a very loose, like who knows what situation. That's why I kind of love doing these now, because we're always proven either very wrong or very right. Good times, but we'll all mourn Frieren and the wonderful season that winter was. But now let us move forward into spring. Spring has sprung. We'll catch you all next time. Charlie and Graham, appreciate your time. We'll see you all soon. Bye.